Chapter 35. Duel at Dartmoor. Sown. First dark day of Queeman, 820. Before dawn, Boswin is up, and he has restarted the campfire. Unable to sleep, I join him. We wait in silence for Belenos to rise. I reject yet another way to initiate a conversation. For his part, Boswin moves closer to the fire and stares into its depths. If I don't find some way to stop this lunacy, I will be fighting my mentor to the death today. He gazes up as the last of the wandering stars fade from the pre-dawn sky. I have given it much thought, Boswin says. I close my eyes and soundlessly thank the gods. We will duel with staves today, and no magic of any kind will be allowed. He can't mean to go through with this. I think Corley's Circle is the proper place for our duel. There are many yew trees around from which to make a pyre. Why? Is the only word my stunned mind can utter. I have decided on the weapons, so it is of course your decision as to where the duel will take place. I merely suggest it as a fair and convenient location. You can't do this, I say. Will you retract your challenge and assist me with my duties? You know I can't do that. Then I suggest you start for the standing stones soon. It is typical to start duels at midday. Without another word, Boswin morphs into a jackdaw and flies away to the south. As usual, he leaves before I can ask my questions. I stare at the fire and ponder how this could have come to pass. I grind my teeth together at the betrayal by the man I once revered above all others. I don't know why Boswin has chosen this path, but I intend to stop him. It is my duty. I let loose a couple of bitter tears before grasping my borrowed staff. Crawley Circle rests on a gentle hilltop meadow. To the east is a forest with plenty of yews, just as Boswin claimed. From the south, there is a long line of standing stones, too many to count easily, which lead up to the circle. Boswin is busy preparing a bier of yew wood off to the side. He salutes me and takes a break from his task. So, you choose to go with an oaken staff? I was not given time to construct one of my own making. Boswin smiles sadly. Blockstenius promised to deliver you with a staff. I wish it had been one of your own making. Is Blockstenius behind this lunacy? No. Boswin looks directly into my eyes. He is not. You will have my word on it. But no time for 78 questions. He reaches for my stave. It is strong, but heavy as well. Make sure you keep your guard up. He gives me dueling advice before we fight to the death. I have chosen an ash staff. Boswin, it's not too late. End this madness. You are free to leave without slight to your character. You know I cannot do that. Without another word, he returns to the bier. Still as a stone, I watch my mentor, knowing that I cannot reach him. To let this sickened version of him go on would be an insult to the mentor I once knew. I hang my head and silently fall in step with him to retrieve more branches. I trust by your cooperation in building the bier that we can agree that the victor shall burn the defeated, according to the proper ways. I grunt and nod my head. Then I would request one final boon from you, though I freely admit that I have no right to expect it. What? I challenge. If you should be victorious today, I ask that the ghost orchid be added to my pyre, so that no further harm will come from that terrible creation. I would rather we burn it together, I say. Alas, that cannot come to pass, Boswin says, with real chagrin. I try to find words to reason with Boswin, but I cannot. We seamlessly resume constructing the bier. Boswin takes the time to point out the secrets of having a proper pyre. If I close my eyes, it feels like we have gone back in time, before this madness overtook him. It's midday, and our work on the beer is complete. If you will join me at the opposite end, we can walk the line of standing stones, Boswin says. I've always felt it adds dignity to do so. He starts down the hill without waiting. Once we reach our destination, Boswin is out of breath. He leans against the first of the standing stones for support. We don't know much about the elder races, Boswin says. We know that the elves stuck to their forests and the giants frolicked over the grassy plains with those oryx of theirs. And we know that everyone talks down about the pixies. I think the pixies were perhaps the wisest of the elder races. They let others claim superiority while they settled here at Land's End. They have forests, some plains, the sea on 3 sides, and the moorlands above. I count myself lucky to have been the caretaker of their land all these years. What of the centaurs? If the centaurs would ever stop shooting us at first sight, I would have an answer for you. All we know is that their land is the most primeval of them all. Jagged cliffs, fertile valleys, and crystal-clear lakes are all within their realm. I think it is the griffins which they must contend with that makes them so fractious. It's not as if they can climb up to the mountain eyries and smash the eggs of their enemies. No, the centaurs are a hard race because they inhabit a hard land. Boswin stands up and stretches. If we don't get started now, I'm likely to talk you to death. Remember, there are 78 stones between us and the circle. You will have 200 paces in which to reconsider. As will you. The meadow is empty. There are no birds singing or small animals foraging. Even the wind has fled us. Boswin marches straight ahead, allowing his attention to fall only on the circle. He is using his staff for support. Is this a ruse? Much like the rest of my time with him, I'm a half step behind and trying to determine what the man is thinking. Outside the circle, Boswin turns to me. Please leave the orchid outside the circle. I set it on top of the last standing stone in the line. Also, the amulet. It may prove a distraction to you, and it does hold magic of a sort. My free hand goes to the Rowan amulet at once. This is the only tangible reminder I have of Ysella. I search his face for any chance that he may relent. I kiss it once and place it on top of the orchid. Now, I have assumed much. Are you satisfied with the details of this duel? I would not want the duel to be unfair to you in any way. It is fine. I am numb to anger or pain. Then, when you are ready, we shall enter the circle and accept our doom. There is no reason to wait. Boswin rises and bows formally to me. Know that you have been my finest student. Is he trying to disorient me? I close my eyes, exhale once, and enter the circle. I start spinning my staff from hand to hand, my thumbs leading the way. Beads of sweat form at once and trail down my forehead before leaping from my nose. Boswin watches the drops fall. I regret that you are not at your best for this duel. He seems sincere, but what of it? Did you spar with Lord Caradoc during your quest? He has always been infatuated with the twirling staff. He holds his staff at the base, as if it's a sword. He swings a violent uppercut, timing his strike to follow after my twirling staff. I am fortunate to duck my head in time. He smiles at me, like before. He has delivered a lesson without speaking a word. I cease the twirl and hold the middle third of my staff in a defensive position. Boswin mimics my stance as we circle one another. I swing down at his left shoulder, which he blocks. I reverse my momentum and sweep at his feet. He dances out of the way and jabs me in the chest, but his lunge lacks power. I disengage and begin spinning my staff again. Boswin times his horizontal swing to when my staff is opposite, but I'm expecting it this time. I slap his staff down and bring the heel of my staff into his face. He spits out a tooth. I double the cadence of my spin, and I alternate my attacks, ascending, descending, right and left, but Boswin has an answer for each. I see an opening, so I lunge forward and connect the heel of my staff to his chest. He stumbles back, surprised. He gingerly feels his rib and inhales in pain. "If you are not going to press your advantage, you might as well drop your staff and let me end this duel now." "Why must we do this?" I lower my guard for a moment. He begins to spin his staff and approaches fast. He brings multiple combinations, but he lacks the power to drive them home. We circle each other again. I note that his footwork is getting sloppy. I swing downward at his head, but he manages to block it. I reverse my momentum and bring the heel of the staff up and into his ribs. He stumbles away. Once more, he holds the staff at the base and goes for an overhead strike. I barely block it in time. He goes to sweep my feet, and I land on his staff, knocking it from his hands. Surprise registers in his eyes as my staff connects with his ear. Lord Boswin, member of the Nine and protector of Menan Toll, lies unconscious at my feet. I check to see that he still breathes. I kick his staff away and sit on my heels a body length away. I'm too exhausted to be brought to tears again, and I can't make the killing blow to my unconscious mentor. Perhaps now he'll forego his irrational plan. I can only hope that he comes to his senses when he wakes. Boswin starts to stir. He feels his rib and the side of his head. "I still live," he says. "You've been beaten. Please, Master, renounce your plans." "I will not." He rises to his knees and searches for his weapon. He moves like a frail old man, unsteady and unsure. He spots his staff several paces away. "It is unbecoming to taunt your beaten foe. Be quick, and end this now." "But Master, now!" he roars, though the effort steals away his breath. He pauses and collects himself. "If I have taught you anything, it is that a Druid can never shirk his duty. Now, strike." With a ragged breath, I scream, "Yes, Master!" My staff connects with his head, and my revered mentor and friend falls to the ground, dead. I stand over him, exhausted, and unable to produce a single tear. I close his unseeing eyes and lift his body up over my shoulder. I am surprised at how light he is. I carry him to the bier that we have constructed. I retrieve his ash staff and place it in his hands. The cursed orchid is laid upon his chest. Striking the sparking stones, I start the dried leaves burning. Soon the fire spreads, and Boswin lies on a bed of flames. The wind picks up as the clouds roll across the moor. It's as if nature herself held her breath and is only now rushing to see the result. As the flames reach ever higher, I toss Yazella's amulet into the fire. I have not had time to mourn her properly. I sit on the ground, my back up against a standing stone, and watch as every last vestige of my old life goes up in smoke. I wake at some point, nearly frozen to death. My sweat still sticks to me and has stolen away the heat from my body. The chill has reached my bones. I stir the embers of Boswin's pyre with my shaky hands, desperate to find any warmth. I find my way back to my hut. I will need some fine pottery in which to place Boswin's ashes, this much I know. The man did not believe in luxury. The only suitable pot is a plain, unadorned white pot with a lid. I smile, sadly. The pot suits the simple man and his white robe. Now I wish I had asked him what to do afterward. The death of one of the 9 surely must be communicated, but to whom, and how? I walk back to the awful spot of our duel and fill the container with ashes. What do I do with Boswin's ashes? He left no instructions. Are the Druids still scouring the land, searching for me? What are my responsibilities now that I am a full Druid? Surely I need to inform someone of Boswin's death, but whom? If Bloxtenius had stayed, could he have stopped this madness from happening? Is this what life is supposed to be? A series of events of which you are given no warning, and you have to make your way through it as best you can? I clear my mind. When Boswin was pensive and needed to think, he would head for Black Tor. He always surrounded himself with more ponies when he was deep in contemplation. A weight lifts from my shoulders. At least I am sure of what I will do next. I will spread his ashes tomorrow into the meadow, where his ponies graze. In time, the grass will consume the ashes, and the ponies will consume the grass. He will become part of his beloved herd.